The union government, in a surprise move on Wednesday, has announced that along with the population census, caste enumeration will also be done. But the need now is to provide dates and to provide a timeline for when this is going to be rolled out.
Well, as Congress party, we are not much bothered about the timing. We welcome this decision of holding a caste census because this is a major U-turn by BJP government. We all know, the entire nation knows that till a day before, BJP has been through its formal and informal channels talking against the caste census. Today, we see that reservation is there in a limited measure, but when the entire education sector is being privatized, when the jobs are being privatized, reservation to SC, ST, OBC only in the government sector is not sufficient. BJP might be going after this issue just to influence the forthcoming Bihar election. But people in Bihar will also ask BJP that Bihar government also did a caste survey. Why that caste survey is not being followed by affirmative action about planning, about new development policies like Telangana government is doing. So our question to government is, if you are so serious, if you have taken U-turn in last 2 months, if you have come to this realization that, oh, census is required, then give us a deadline, allocate money through supplementary budget. The entire opposition will support you in allocating the supplementary budget in the parliament session, coming parliament session. But please give a timeline and a deadline that by when this caste census and the general census be completed.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching The Wire. I'm Sravasti Dasgupta. The union government, in a surprise move on Wednesday, has announced that along with the population census, caste enumeration will also be done. Now, this was a long-standing demand of the Congress as well as other opposition parties, and it has been welcomed by all these parties, including the Congress. But while the government has now announced the caste census, it has not provided any timeline of its rollout, which has led to questions from the opposition, including from leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, who has conducted a press conference yesterday, and he has said that the party welcomes this move, but the need now is to provide dates and to provide a timeline for when this is going to be rolled out. So what is behind the Modi government's move to announce this ahead of the Bihar elections and just about a week after the Pahalgam terror attacks? To discuss all this and more, I am being joined by Gurdeep Singh Sappal. He's Congress spokesperson, permanent invitee of the Congress Working Committee, and also advisor to Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Sappal. First off, I want to ask you that the Congress and Rahul Gandhi, of course, has made this a long-standing demand of the Congress party from before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, and this has been reiterated not just by the Congress and Rahul Gandhi but by other members of the opposition as well. But now that this decision has been announced, there are questions being raised about its timing. That is, when the government is facing some criticism due to the Pahalgam terror attack, as well as the Bihar elections, which are just months away. So, how do you see the timing of this announcement?
Well, as Congress party, we are not much bothered about the timing. We welcome this decision of holding a caste census because this is a major U-turn by BJP government. We all know, the entire nation knows that till a day before, BJP has been through its formal and informal channels talking against the caste census. In fact, the Prime Minister Modi last year called that those who supporting caste census are urban Naxals, and the UP Chief Minister said that it's a Talibani soch. It's a Talibani soch. So coming from that party, suddenly this declaration, this announcement of holding a caste census is a victory of the line, victory of the political vision that has been laid down by Shri Rahul Gandhi ji.
We have seen, of course, as you're mentioning, that there have been statements by Prime Minister Modi just before the elections. He has, as you said, that he equated it with the urban Naxals. The BJP has historically, the RSS and the BJP have historically opposed caste census. And in fact, we have seen statements by the BJP, including in the elections as recently as in Maharashtra, where the slogan was made, "Batenge to katenge," or "Ek hai to safe hai," and the whole narrative that was spun was that this is a bit to divide society. But the fact is, sir, that now that the BJP government has given in to this demand, you are saying that it's a victory of the Congress party. But with the BJP government now giving in to this demand, has the Congress lost its core agenda?
No, the caste census is not one point agenda for the social justice. Anybody who talks about social justice, who understands what social justice is, who champions the cause of social justice knows that the caste census is the beginning point in today's day and age. Why are we asking for caste census? Because we believe that the right to equality granted by the Constitution of India, that needs to be realized in full measure. In last 75 years, and especially last since after the Constitution was promulgated, the the Indian state has guaranteed right to equality. But every section of the society has progressed in last 75 years, but lot many discrepancies, diversities, the gaps are there. So to fulfill that gap and realize this right, we need to move forward from the development paradigm which has existed so far. It means that we need to do a special planning to ensure that those who have been left behind in this race of development, those who have been left behind from the echelons of power, be it bureaucracy, be it judiciary, be it political power, corporate power, media power, from businesses, a new development paradigm has to be developed, and for that you need data. So the caste census is the first point, and that doesn't mean that this is the last point, and by just doing caste census, by enumerating people, the entire social justice agenda is fulfilled. From here, Congress party and Rahul Gandhi's vision comes into play now.
So, what is the next step, in your opinion, that the Congress party will be taking to take this forward? That you're calling it caste census is the first step. Yesterday, Rahul Gandhi said that we need to go beyond the caste census. So, what are the steps that the party is looking for? If you're saying that this is not just a one-point agenda, what are the next steps that you're looking at?
Sravasti is simple. When we talk of a society which is casteless, people in India have done various experiments. The governments have done various experiments. We have tried to have a reservation policy, which was limited to SCs industries. When in 90s it was seen that a large section of OBC is not getting its share, then the OBC reservation came in. And today we see that reservation is there in a limited measure. But when the entire education sector is being privatized, when the jobs are being privatized, reservation to SC, ST, OBC only in the government sector is not sufficient. That is why Rahul Gandhi yesterday talked about implementation of Article 15.5, which guarantees reservation in private education institutions. That is part one of it. Then we are also talking of using this data to ensure that people get their share in various resources. We are talking of breaching the ceiling of 50%, which is there for reservation today. Of course, that has been breached in a sense by EWS reservation. If you add EWS, that in practice it has already been breached, but only for the general upper caste. What caste census will lead to is that people, once we know what is the actual numbers of OBCs in the country, then you need to breach this 50% ceiling, which has been artificially laid down by the Supreme Court in 90s. That's the second point. Third point is, like in Telangana, we are working on several other projects. It includes the distribution of government resources. It includes representation in corporate sector. How do you ensure that more and more people rise from these communities into corporate power structures? Government has to do planning. In India, you cannot say that only few communities have and hold, and that's the reality. Issue is to have a casteless society. We need to ensure that all the castes get equal or equitable representation among the structures of power, in resources, in jobs, in education. And that is the agenda that we'll be working on from now.
So, as we are looking into the Bihar elections just a few months away, you are saying that this is the first step and it will, you have spoken about, Rahul Gandhi has also spoken about, you are also saying that the next steps will be to remove the 50% cap on reservation and to ensure that Article 15(5) is implemented, which includes providing reservations in private institutions. But the fact is that this move by the BJP, in a sense, is also being seen by observers that the BJP has attempted to preempt the opposition's narrative going into the elections in Bihar. So, do you think that this will result in some reverses for you?
Look, the main champion of caste census in recent years has been Rahul Gandhi. There's no doubt about it. But to understand Rahul Gandhi's politics, you have to delink it from the current elections, from forthcoming elections. He's not talking about these issues to win election. He's talking about these issues is because he deeply feels that a large section of India, large section of our society is left behind. Now he is talking of setting that process right, developing a new paradigm. So elections may come, elections may go. Issue is what do you do after winning elections? That is what he talked about Telangana model. That okay, we have a government here, we have done the caste survey. Now, what should this data lead to? So, in terms of, he's not thinking in terms of elections. Yeah, BJP might be going after this issue just to influence the forthcoming Bihar elections. But people in Bihar will also ask BJP that Bihar government also did a caste survey. Why that caste survey is not being followed by affirmative action about planning, about new development policies like Telangana government is doing? These questions will have to be answered by BJP and JDU. That you have caste data in Bihar. What is that caste data leading to? Like what we are doing in Telangana. So issue is once you open this and once you accept that there's a need for caste census, the natural question that people will ask is what after this data? And BJP will have to answer. And that is why today we are asking BJP, what are you going to do in the caste census? Are you simply going to ask, what is your caste? That's a one column question. Or like Telangana, we have developed a 56 question questionnaire where various socio-economic inputs are being gathered so that these indicators can be used in planning. So these questions will also come. We have to understand in Bihar, the communities, whichever they may be, are politically very, very aware, very, very astute. And these communities are going to put up these questions to BJP and Nitish Kumar. And so this is a simplistic take on politics that just by announcing caste census, they've got a headway or they've got some advantage over the India alliance in the Bihar election. No, that's not going to happen. More questions will follow now.
So you are saying that in a sense this move needs to be seen in the light of the Bihar elections? That the BJP has announced this because the Bihar elections are coming?
No, we are not commenting on what prompted BJP because BJP and RSS has been in effect against caste census. Whatever be their motivation, we are saying is Government of India is doing a caste census. Please ensure that you collect all the data which leads to planning. Now we are not questioning the intent of the government. We are not questioning what prompted them to do this because this we are leaving to journalists like you to find out what is the real reason for this U-turn. But as far as Congress party is concerned, we are more concerned about the outcome of this exercise.
Okay, so you mentioned that it's now necessary to look into the outcome of the exercise, and of course, it is necessary to. You're talking about the two steps that Article 15(5) and private and enforcing reservations in the private sector. But do you see the Congress party then, in terms of concrete steps that you're talking about, will this be taken up in Parliament? That the 50% limit on reservations needs to be removed. Will this be taken up in Parliament by the party?
Certainly, even in Telangana, even in Karnataka, we have moved for that resolution. And it is up to the government of India to ensure that this ceiling is challenged. These issues will come up in the parliament in discussions once these discussions are taken up. there's no way that you can avoid these questions. And that is what in yesterday's press conference, Rahulji even underlined very clearly that once the caste census is done, once you have the data, then the consequential follow-up has to happen. Otherwise, what is the data of any use? You're not doing it just for collecting data to ensure political campaigns, that which community will have which candidate. No, that is a that's a limited use of caste census. Caste census will be effective only if data is used to ensure more representation, to ensure better planning, to ensure that the resource allocation is more equitable, to ensure that gradually all the communities have a say, have a place in the power structure of the society, which includes bureaucracy, which includes media, which includes judiciary, which also includes corporate, and which includes the political system and businesses. So unless all the communities have a equitable share in these power structures of these sectors, this caste census will not mean anything in itself. So caste census is a tool to move towards that direction.
You're saying that caste census is a tool to move towards that direction, but for anything to happen, first the government needs to give some data and some timeline of when dates and some timeline of when this is going to be rolled out. Yesterday we have seen not just Rahul Gandhi but other opposition leaders have also said of the India Alliance have said that there needs to be a timeline, and the overarching demand from opposition parties of the India Alliance is that while you're supporting this, that there needs to be some declaration of some kind of dates. Now, the fact is that even the decadal census has not been conducted since 2021. First, it was the pandemic, but even after that, 4 more years have passed. So, you are saying that you want dates, but how are you going to push the government to bring out these dates?
Well, we all know NDA government is also known as no data government. They have avoided data, not just the census data, the labor survey data, the health survey data, the unemployment data, any data which can put a light on the functioning of the government is not there. The government just doesn't allow that data to come out in public. But the problem with census is that census data is required for planning. And BJP government in last few years, by not conducting timely census data, is actually harming its own planning process, which is costing people of India. Like, I'll give you a very simple example, that in right to food, people get free food, free rations. Some 83 crore people get it. Now, another 18 crore population has been added after 2021. That's a tentative estimate. But since census is not done, these 18 crore people are not getting benefit of the Food Security Act. So who's losing in this process? So that is why we have been asking for a immediate census. BJP yesterday made an announcement that okay, it will include the caste census in census, but it has not given any deadline for this census. Even in 2019 budget, the estimate for census was 8,000 plus crore, and then another 4,000 crore for NPR. So overall, 12,000 plus crore they had estimated for carrying out census. And in 2025 budget, they allocated just 574 crores, 80 lakhs, 575 crore round off, we can say. Now with 575 crore, there cannot be any census. So this government 2 months back had no idea of carrying out census in this financial year. And suddenly yesterday they came up and they said, we are doing census, we are doing caste census along with it. So our question to government is, if you are so serious, if you have taken a U-turn in last 2 months, if you have come to this realization that, oh, census is required, then give us a deadline, allocate money through supplementary budget. The entire opposition will support you in allocating the supplementary budget in the parliament session, coming parliament session. But please give a timeline and a deadline that by when this caste census and the general census be completed.
But sir, I want to ask you again, how will you push for this, the fact that a timeline and a date needs to be set and a deadline needs to be set? How will the Congress push for this? Is there a plan? Is there a plan in motion that that you will?
The tools available to opposition parties are one, creating awareness, which by talking to people like you, journalists like you, we are using that route. Second is reaching out to people in terms of holding meetings, holding conferences, holding public rallies. We will be doing that. And we have to understand, once BJP has yesterday announced that there will be a caste census with the census, I don't think that they can now ignore the public pressure. And we are going to build that public pressure in parliament, outside parliament, in media, through our party structures, so that the government now cannot go back on it.
Okay, now let's just come a little bit to the criticism that has been leveled by the BJP yesterday when this announcement was made. We saw Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav who made the announcement, and later we also saw a statement by Home Minister Amit Shah. I just want to quote to you what the BJP has said, that it has said that the Congress governments, this is Ashwini Vaishnav when he was making the announcement, he said the Congress government has historically opposed caste census and has not conducted any caste census since independence. And it has said that despite former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh giving an assurance to the Lok Sabha, only a SECC survey was conducted and not a census. And it has also accused the Congress and the India Alliance of using the caste census as a political tool. How do you respond to this?
Shavasti, you have to understand the entire experience of last 75 years. When we made the Constitution of India, when the people of India gifted to themselves this Constitution, one basic promise was that there will be right to equality. Right to equality was the right which was first time guaranteed in India ever, because there was no constitutional democracy before that. But this right to equality was always challenged by our caste structure, because Indian society is defined by hierarchical caste structure, and this caste structure is against equality. So in 1950, the understanding was that we have given the constitutional right. Now let us not talk about caste. Let us ensure that all the castes grow together through constitutional measures, through government schemes, and a serious effort was put in for SC/STs because of the untouchability issue, and issues because the STs lived in areas which are not, which were basically in the jungle areas. They were given reservation to ensure that they can come up to a certain level and enjoy this right to equality. And for others, there was an equal paradigm created, thinking that this will ensure equal participation of everybody. This will ensure that everybody gets equal resources. But last 75 years of experience shows us that this may have happened to some measure, but it has not happened in entirety. Then in 1960s, another concept came. It was by Lohia. There was a conference in 1961 when he said that to create a casteless society, other than constitutional rights, you should do 2-3 things. That you should not use your surname, you should do inter-caste marriages, you should do inter-caste dining. Now we all know that this also has not resulted in a casteless society. Now inter-caste marriages are not very uncommon. They do happen. Inter-caste dinings is a daily affair. But this has not eliminated caste. Now the thinking, the experience of thinking Indian intellectuals, which includes Rahul Gandhi, is that by these measures, caste cannot be challenged. Caste can be challenged by one thing, that people of all the caste get a say in the power structures. In the decision-making structures, they get a say. In the resource allocation, they get a say. When resource allocation and decision-making, all the communities will be represented, that will lead to next level of diluting the caste structure. This is the current understanding. And for this, you require data. And that is why Congress party and Rahul Gandhi particularly started talking about caste census, because we have an experience of 7 decades behind us. The intent was correct, but caste is such a complex structure that even the intent was correct, the results in entirety are not as per what the Constitution guaranteed. So this is a developmental understanding, the developmental phase in the understanding of a society. Nothing wrong in it. Yes, we say Congress party did not do a caste census in first 5 decades, 6 decades when we were in power, because we thought, and our leaders sincerely thought, that by implementing the constitutional provisions, we will be able to arrive at a casteless society. But experience says otherwise now. So what is wrong in now getting to the next level of development in addressing the caste challenges? And this begins with caste survey, because unless we know what caste has what resources, unless we know which caste is placed in the various levels of decision-making structures, in various sectors of decision-making sectors, how can we plan for a solution? It is simply impossible. That is why Rahulji says that it's an MRI, it's an X-ray. By this X-ray, we'll know exactly what the problem is, and then use that X-ray to have a new paradigm of development, a new paradigm of planning, which ensures that those who are left behind are now included in this journey of development. So nothing, we are not apologetic about what we did, but as a continuum, this is the new stage in our political philosophy. It's a new stage in our understanding of development.
So, when this was in a sense initiated with the SECC in 2011, why did the party not choose to make that data public?
SECC was under special circumstances. In 2010, Supreme Court gave a judgment, which is called a triple test judgment, in which it said that one of the tests was that you should have a empirical data to identify the backwardness into the political structures and administrative structures. These were two different judgments. Now, when the judgment came, it means that if there is no empirical data, then the reservation in local bodies for the OBCs will be in danger, which subsequently it did happen in certain states like Maharashtra, in UP, in Madhya Pradesh. The OBC reservation in local bodies was challenged and stayed. Once Supreme Court laid down this triple test, where it mandated to have a empirical data into the backwardness of a community, then it made mandatory that we need a survey to have this empirical data. This came in 2010. 2011, the census was already planned as per time schedule. So in 2011, UPA government at that time scheduled a debate in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, where all parties, including BJP, Sushma Swaraj ji was the leader of opposition in BJP and Arun Jaitley ji was the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. So BJP in both the houses supported this idea that yes, we need a caste survey. After that, there was a GOM formed. Pranab Mukherjee was the chairman of the GOM. It wrote letters to all the parties that what should be done. And most of the parties wrote to Pranab Mukherjee, including BJP, that yes, we should have a caste census. But it was 2011. The census activity was already on. When it went to cabinet, people in cabinet said that we will have to stop the main census because this is a last minute development. So after various discussions in the cabinet, via media was taken out that this time let us have a caste survey, which can be done separately from caste census. That caste survey was then conducted by under Ministry of Rural Development. That caste census was survey was completed by 2013, end of 2013. By that time, the tenure of UPA government was coming to an end, and it was a big decision. This was a big data point. So a decision was taken that the final analysis of this caste survey and the results may be put out by the incoming government. It could have been UPA at that time. It could have been NDA as Modi reformed the government. But BJP after that decided not to go public with this data. It was BJP that decided and made several U-turns. After some time saying that they want to make data public, then they announced that there are some problems with data, so they'll form a high-level committee. They appointed the chairman of the committee, but never appointed the member. That committee never even met once. Then they said that this data is highly erroneous. Then to standing committee, they said that this data is 99.7% correct. Then they said, oh, we cannot use the data in entirety, but for some government schemes, we can use this data. So BJP's history after 14 has been replete with several such U-turns vis-a-vis the use of caste survey data and vis-a-vis conducting caste census. UPA, in all sincerity, did carry out a caste survey, even despite the fact that the caste census caste census exercise had already started in 2011. Two could not be clubbed due to paucity of time, so that a via media was taken out.
So, would you say, sir, that in retrospect, it would have been better perhaps for the then UPA government to make that data public instead of waiting for the incoming government as it was then decided?
No. It's not question of making public, because this was a huge data with enormous numbers of caste, many caste being spelled differently. So the government officers said, the department said that they needed time to process this data, and time was not left after that. Yes, if it would have been done earlier, yes, if it would have been done faster, it would have been a better thing. But there are some constraints of time. And you have to remember, in that entire period, while UPA was struggling with some fake allegation, fake news, we were actually doing work on caste survey. Despite uh, several attacks on the government, on the functioning government was being constrained by opposition that only talked about creating a narrative to defame the government. Even in that scenario, the UPA government sincerely worked on the caste survey, but the time ran out. Time ran out, and it could not make the data public.
So the time ran out in terms of that data, the SECC data for the UPA government then. But you're of course putting forward the fact that Telangana has successfully conducted a caste survey recently, and Rahul Gandhi yesterday has said that the Congress party is ready to provide it as a blueprint if the government wants, in terms of helping a design for the national caste survey if necessary. But I also want to ask you that another survey was conducted in Karnataka 10 years ago, but it took 10 years for that data to be placed before the cabinet. Why was that delayed?
Well, the Karnataka survey, the Bihar survey, when it was conducted, even then, Nitish Kumarji was part of India Alliance, and then Telangana survey. These three surveys have been done in past few years. Now, this is precisely what Rahul Gandhi ji has been saying in meetings, that these surveys are designed by government officials, by bureaucracy, in which the communities, the stakeholders of caste survey are not represented. So in Telangana, in Karnataka and in Bihar, our experience was that even when survey was done, it was not done as per the need for data which is required for planning. So when Telangana's option came up, Congress party decided, under the instructions of Rahul Gandhi ji, we decided that this time the survey will not be dependent on merely bureaucratic machinery. A conscious decision was taken that there will be interactive meetings, there will be public hearings with various stakeholders of various communities and experts who were not part of bureaucracy but part of social sciences, part of various communities, the people who understand the social realities of those communities. They were all consulted, they were brought into committees, and a system was evolved where the entire design was not left to bureaucrats but was handled by people who understand social issues, who understand caste issues. And that is why the questionnaire that was finally developed was a 56 question questionnaire. It was earlier 57, but one was removed. 56 questions questionnaire was developed. And it's a comprehensive socio-economic survey which happened. And that is why we say that we have got this experience in after doing Karnataka survey, after Bihar survey. Now we have come to a stage where we have somehow given a best result, best possible result in Telangana survey. Now this experience is not just Congress party's experience. This is not just Congress party's learning. This learning is available for our entire nation, which is now being governed by Modi government. So Rahul ji said that since now you are going to do a caste census, let it not be restricted by the wisdom of only bureaucrats. We have developed a model. That model has delivered. There are certain learnings in this process. We are willing to share those learnings, that model, with the union government, so that the caste census, which is a historical decision now, which is happening and has a long-term implication, should give us the best possible data.
So, Telangana, you're saying that it has been developed over the years. You have learned from other experiences in Karnataka and Bihar, and therefore you're putting that forward as an option towards the government to learn from that as well. But even the Telangana model, even though it was an elaborate effort, about 1.5 lakh staff with the aid of an 8-page questionnaire, as you were saying, with 56 questions. They conducted that survey, but right now, even in Telangana, the opposition has raised questions of inaccuracy and unscientific and scientific data in the questionnaire. So, and also that collected data was not made public. So, do you think that at this point, as we move towards possibly a nationwide caste census as it was announced by the cabinet, it is necessary for governments, whether it is Congress ruled or BJP ruled, to make that data that is collected public, so that it is also subject to public scrutiny?
Let's understand the reality first. The reality is that we never wanted to do a caste survey in a state because we wanted a national caste census. The reason for that is that the expertise of conducting a caste census, the institutional knowledge, institutional wisdom, that is with Registrar General of India. The government of India carries out caste census for past several decades, and that expertise lies with the central government. So we kept on asking central government to do a caste census. But when central government did not agree to that, there was no indication, and in fact, BJP leaders, including Prime Minister, on various occasions spoke against caste census. Congress party decided that wherever we are in power, let us do a caste survey. So that is why the word survey is used, because census is the right and the duty of union government. A state cannot conduct a census. So a caste survey was done despite the fact that we had limited experience. The state government departments had no experience of doing a caste census or a general census also, any census. Yet we decided to do a survey because the central government was not agreeable to caste census. Now that's the first thing. Second thing, whenever such a survey is done or a census is done, it will shatter the existing notions about the population of various castes. That is inevitable because these notions are developed over last 100 years. Last caste census was in 1931. There has been no caste census after that. So these notions in last 100 years, many things have changed in the world as well as Indian. The society has changed, the composition of nation has changed. So there are many now views which have been developed in last 100 years. So when the concrete data comes, it does shatter the notions which are prevailing in various communities. So there is some strife. So that is why when this caste survey put out its basic data, after that a high-level committee, including experts not just from India but also from top universities in the world, it has been set up by the Telangana government. They are studying the data. They are studying the data in its entirety. And once that study is over, and that is a matter of few weeks, it's not a very long timeline. Once that entire process is over, the data will be put out in public. There's no reason that we are saying that it won't be done. It will be done. But for such an exercise, it's a mammoth exercise. It's a one of its kind exercise. So one does need time to process that data. And that work is on today.
All right, and also finally, I want to ask you that earlier, in the run up to the 2024 elections, it had emerged once again as a battle of Mandal versus Kamandal between the BJP and the United Opposition India Alliance. Now, with this move announced by the BJP government, it appears that the BJP has sought to take back both Mandal and Kamandal. Is that going to cost the India Alliance going forward?
Well, BJP has done the first step. We are more interested to know that BJP also has a caste survey in Bihar. What has it done with that data? What are the schemes that those caste survey has been used and developed to develop a new scheme? What is the new level of planning that BJP and JDU government have done in Bihar using that data? If they are only doing this caste census just to take the sting out of the demand for caste census led by Rahul Gandhi, then they are doing a great disservice. So it cannot be confined to Mandal versus Kamandal, this thing. It has to be seen in a larger context of ensuring development for all. And what is BJP's track record? So far in Bihar, we have seen that they have not utilized the caste data for any planning purpose. And we'll have to see that BJP, whether it stands by the demand that after this caste data comes in, this artificial ceiling of reservation of 50% is done away with or not, whether BJP demands it or not, whether BJP agrees for implementation of Article 15(5), which ensures that there is a reservation in private sector higher educational institutions. Now, this is the law of the land. It's part of the constitution. Will BJP implement it? Will BJP go forward and decide that the resource allocation, the budgetary planning is done on the basis of population also? Like wherever Congress governments have been there in past and now, we have a dedicated sub-plan for SCs and STs. There's a sub-plan in the budget. There's a earmarked money as per their population. Whether BJP agrees with it, BJP has done away with those sub-plans. They've they've migrated, they've diverted the budgets of those sub-plans into other heads. Now, whether BJP will agree for resource allocation on the basis of caste data, whether BJP will agree that the resources are not just allocated, but also in the higher echelons of power among various sectors, there are affirmative action plans which ensure that people who have been left out from the power structures finally get into those power structures. These are not just immediate concerns. This will be seen in years to come, and I don't think BJP stands for any of this. Let me end by saying one thing. BJP is an offshoot, is a political front of RSS. RSS was constituted in 1926. Till 1950, RSS leaders wrote huge literature. Their leaders were very prolific writers. Many books were published. They had regular newspapers and magazines like Observer, not Observer. I forgot the name. So they wrote a lot, but between 26 and 1950, not a single publication, not a single article, not a single essay, not a single book of RSS talks of right to equality. Not a single book of RSS or a publication of RSS talks of right to freedom of speech. Not a single RSS publication talks of right to associate, form association. Not a single RSS publication talks of right to labors. So that is why if RSS that time was in power in 47, they would not have come out with a constitution which Congress gave to this country, which ensured equality, which ensured freedom of speech, which ensured that the labor rights were there, farmers' rights were there. So these are two different parameters. And because BJP's philosophy is not in this favor, I am afraid that even after doing a caste census, they will not use that caste census data to ensure equality in Indian society. They will not do it. This is what is our belief, what we see how RSS functions. But Congress party will use the data. It may be done by Modi government, but data will be available. Congress party will use this data to roll out schemes and policies that ensure that this right to equality is delivered on ground. This is the difference between Congress and BJP, and I'm sure that we'll be able to do this. And I'm very much apprehensive that BJP is actually even interested in doing this.
All right, Mr. Sappal, thank you so much for joining us on The Wire and taking all those questions. Thank you so much for joining us.